Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the playing of
the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast
with your host, the 2023 IBWAA Podcast Host of the Year, Jana, and her big brother, Jeff. All right, back to the grind. Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast in your ears after a week off. Did you have a nice Memorial Day week?
Yeah, it was a good week.
All right, I saw you posting that people that you know come in to visit.
Yeah, some good friends of ours. We've known, probably 25 years. We've been friends with them back when from our Jersey days.
A long
when
time. You guys were doing that reality show?
Yeah, Jersey days.
Jersey days? Because you guys weren't by the shore. You were like Jersey Central.
Right.
So Jersey days. Gotcha.
Yeah. We were right. You know, when you think of New Jersey as the Garden State, that's where we were at.
I talked to a lady today, and she was telling me where her city was in the state of Michigan. And she goes, just hold your hand out like the mitten, because you think about Michigan and its shape. And when you close your hand, right in the middle is where she was from.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that. That made me laugh of all the ways.
Yeah.
Anyway, no more fooling around. Lots to talk about. We got to cover what we missed with the Dodgers, with the Angels. We have an international series coming up, but I'm just wondering, should we just sweep that under the rug like we did the last international series? I don't know. We'll talk about it. And then, of course, around baseball, and we will hop in our ride or die. I just found out what that means. So now I've got to run that into the ground.
All right.
So fasten your seatbelts, pull down the lap bar, and get ready for another edition of the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast and more.
It's time for Dodger Baseball.
I'm not sure what the more part was. What else? But you can find us on Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Facebook and Instagram at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
And at our website, siblingrivalrybb.com. Check out the Fanatics link. Get yourself some gear. I know they got Father's Day hats out now and jerseys and stuff. So you get that. And plus, College World Series going on, or the playoffs, heading towards Omaha. That's all just begun. And since last time we were here, not only have teams been selected to play, teams have already played. We're already super regionals. So we'll get to all of that around baseball. But right now, let's take a look at what's going on with the Dodgers.
Oh, the Dodgers. What can we say about the Dodgers?
That's like a drinking song. When you started it, like everybody's got a big mug of beer. Oh, Dodgers, they're falling apart. We can't hit nothing. We can't even. All right.
So while we were away, they played in Cincinnati and were swept in Cincinnati. They were inconsistent in this series. The Dodgers scored 6 times in the series opener, and then they scored 2 more over the next 2 games. And that's all I have to say about the Reds series.
All right, Boris.
That's
yeah, I mean, it is 2 more runs. So they scored a total of 8 runs, but 6 of them in, 3/4 of those runs were scored in 1 game. It took them 2 to score 1 each.
Yeah. So they.
But what was the problem, do you think?
I think the problem with the Dodgers, and we will see this as we go through some other of the series, is the lineup. I feel like it's top heavy.
Okay.
And then the middle, okay, you got Will Smith, Teoscar Hernandez, but then the bottom falls out. Or the top doesn't do anything. the top three, but then the bottom does something, but that's where the inconsistencies fall. And then you have Dave Roberts, who allows people to have runways. And if we're looking at a World Series championship team, the Dodgers right now, as they stand, are not it.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Reds being a championship team, not.
Well,
Yeah, the Dodgers are far from that. So they get swept, which is crazy
yeah,
because even though he, had a few good games, Ellie De La Cruz wasn't overwhelming in the series over.
right. Yeah.
So the pitching overall was okay.
Yeah,
looked
pitching
like.
hasn't been bad. It's, I think that has been one thing that you don't really have to be too concerned about. I will say one thing, though, is Walker Buehler. He is coming back from a second Tommy John surgery. He's pitching decent. He does have games where he just, but we cannot expect him to come back and be where he was at the top of his game before Tommy John surgery, the second one. And I think that's what irritates me, like with Dodger fans, is they're like, Walker Buehler, he sucks. But he has just had a repaired elbow and is now just getting back to it.
Yeah, he's only had a couple of games.
Right. So he's going to get there. It is early June. Is it time to panic? I don't think so. However, there are a lot of names coming up in the trade rumor mill. And I really think Andrew Friedman and Dodgers front office really need to start looking at what they need to do.
Yeah, Brandon Gomes and AF need to be on top of that.
Yeah.
So the Dodgers head out of there and head to New York for 3. The Monday game is a rainout.
Yep.
So they hit a doubleheader. And probably the greatest thing to happen to them in the first game of that doubleheader was that Tyler McGill finally came out.
Yes. That first game was a innings game. It went 10 innings. And for the Dodgers, they had a late rally, and they needed that because they had just been swept by the Reds. It seemed like they were going to lose again because 7 innings, they couldn't do anything. And as you mentioned, it's because the pitcher came out. They were able to make a comeback, a 5-2 comeback win in innings. That was the first game of the doubleheader because of the game that was postponed due to rain. And that was, I think, a good start for the Dodgers because in the second game of the doubleheader, they won that game and 3-0. And so the Dodgers needed that. I think Dodger fans needed that after watching their performance in Cincinnati. And I think at that point, when they were coming into New York, they were on a 5-game losing streak, which is one of the longest for them.
Right.
But in this second game, you had Gavin Stone on the mound. I think that makes a big difference when you have a pitcher that has been pitching like Gavin Stone. He pitched 7 scoreless innings, and Dodgers win 3-0 in the traditional doubleheader because it was a full 9 innings for both games. So, and then just for good measure, the Dodgers come out for the third game of the series and beat the Mets 10-3. And those are the type of games I think teams need. Any team needs a game where they're just dominating. And they certainly did dominate over the Mets in this game. Will Smith has been great. He's behind those top three, Betts, Shohei, and Freddie. And a lot of times it's Smith who's getting the job done. And yeah, he had his first multi-homer game of the season, second of his career. And they look so good. It's like when you see the Dodgers playing at the level they were playing in that game, it's like these are the Dodgers that we can see going on to the postseason. It was a good series, a really good bounce back series that the Dodgers needed because they had been swept and then they won. So they come
went
up
from being swept to being the sweepers.
Right, exactly. Yes. So 3-3 road trip. It is what it is, I guess. I mean, the Dodgers, that was one thing when the Dodgers signed Shohei. I like Shohei Ohtani. I love having him on the Dodgers, but there's always the added pressure of everyone saying, oh, they're going to go on and they have to go to the World Series because of all the money that they spent on Ohtani, Yamamoto. They signed Teoscar Hernandez, which was a under the radar signing, I think. All the things that they've done, but they still, how are they losing a series to Cincinnati? I don't get it. So the Mets that was a good bounce back in Queens, but their charter flight taking off from Newark to Los Angeles was delayed for multiple reasons. They had weather. I think they had some mechanical issues. They'd planned to take off on Wednesday night after the game against the Mets, and that would have gotten them to LA early on Thursday morning before an off day. And the weather issues eventually led to bigger problems with the plane, obviously with the flight crew, because the flight crew has, they only have so many hours before they have to go into crew rest. So it was like 8.5 hours that the Dodgers were on the plane on the tarmac in Newark. So they finally left about 5:30 a.m. Eastern time and got to LA at 7:30 Pacific time on Thursday morning. So luckily they had an off day because the next day they opened up a series with the Rockies.
Yeah, I heard David Vassay on the radio, who's like a field reporter for the Dodgers on the radio for the station AM 570 here. That's the Dodger station, and he was saying they were just sitting there, and at first it was like, oh, it's just going to be about an hour or two, so your mindset is different about how long you're going to be sitting there for a couple of hours. And what are we going to do? Then it was like watching a few movies, and then before long it was like it's going to be this long. Then it was longer. He says at some point you just go to sleep and hope for the best.
Oh, right.
It was kind of crazy because you never really knew. If they'd have known at the beginning it was going to be about an 8-hour stop, they probably would have found a way to get off the airplane and just gone and hung out somewhere else, waiting for the plane and the weather and everything.
Right. Yeah. So Dodgers are home, open up a series against the Rockies. First game, they lose the first game 4-1, which of course the sky is falling in Dodger Town because it's the Rockies and they lose 4-1 against the Rockies. But in this first game, it was really the Rockies shortstop, Ezekiel Tovar. Is that how to say his first name? Yeah.
Ezekiel.
Yeah. All right. I mean, he had 3 hits in his first 3 at bats, and he had a home run in that game. And defensively too, he was just, playing well. It was the Rockies' first win at Dodger Stadium since October 4th of 2022. They went 0-6 in LA last year for their first winless season in franchise history. But yeah, not a lot to mention about the Dodgers. I mean, they lost, like I said, 4-1.
Yeah, they were only able to come up like 5 hits in the game. So,
it was forgettable. It was a forgettable game.
Mm-hmm.
But the next game, we had someone that was there. It was you.
It was me. I was there.
You were there.
And
you were at the Dodgers game.
And
what else? And shopping
at the grocery store. I guess. I don't know.
And it's a good thing that you were there, because you must have been a lucky charm, because the Dodgers win this game 4-1. It is Tyler Glasnow bobblehead night. That's exciting. Saw pictures of
really?
those. Yes, I saw the pictures. Evan Phillips comes back, and from the injured list,
mm-hmm.
and he got the save in this win. That's all good things, because we've needed Evan back. Any standouts for you while you were, anything you remember from the game that was like, wow, this is awesome?
Oh, like, wow, this is awesome? No, but it was interesting, like you said, Tyler Glasnow, bobblehead night. They invited his high school team was out there. They had some other teams, in that his girlfriend threw out the first pitch, like the official first pitch, not like, I didn't realize they had like 3 other people throw out first pitches.
Wow.
One of it was a guy to his kid, and he was some kind of a corporate sponsor or something. But anyway,
yeah.
Teoscar Hernandez was hustling. He had hit a single, and then was able, thanks to errors, a couple of throwing errors, score.
Yeah.
That was on a Gavin Lux ground out. He had moved on. I don't know what they were thinking, but he ends up, getting through. That was a pretty good one. Jason Hayward, right in that same inning, helped get them to the 2. So there wasn't a lot happening at the top of the order, as you had mentioned before. But when you look down, lower down in the bottom part of the order, they were, Andy Pages had 3 hits.
Right.
Teoscar was 2 for 3. Kike had bright pink cleats on. That
saw
stood
those.
out.
Yeah. What about what'd you think of Yamamoto?
You know what? It just like watching him on TV.
Yeah.
He was out there. You see what's going on. You see him pretty much solid from start to finish. Whatever he throws, he just stays pretty consistent.
Yeah, and he had a good night. He went 6 innings. Only gave up. He gave up 7 hits, but only gave up one run, and had 7 strikeouts. So
the thing that stood out to me most of the night is how rude fans are. The one thing I always liked about, have you ever gone to a hockey game?
Yes.
Hockey, it's like going to the theater. When the puck's in play, everything stops. You don't get up and leave your seat unless it's an emergency.
Yeah.
You don't come back to your seat till the puck stops, and they'll stop you at the top or at the place where you're going in. They'll like cover the thing. No, you can't come in. Baseball fans aren't that way. And then they'll stand there. So they get there. Some people, some of them get there early. There was a lot of people there early. Of course, it was a bobblehead night, so that helps. But they would just all come in and then just stand and then argue with somebody else. Or people will come in and they were like, oh, hey, you made it. And then they all get up and hug each other. There's play going on that we're missing out on because they're all just standing there. And you're like trying to watch the game, and you're having to depend on the replay if you can. So, it was just like, that was one part that I haven't, I hadn't been to a game yet this year. And I was just like, why are you guys, is this always the way it is? Where I was sitting, I had only sat once before and it was for a day game, but I kind of liked the seats, but it was full and people were just rude. And then they would like, go, we're going to leave now. And they would just get up right in the middle of everything. So once again, you're missing what's going on. So it's like, if you're a fan and, wait till the ball is dead. There's enough downtime to leave the row. Just like in hockey, if the puck's in play. So if they're actively pitching or hitting, don't get up and leave and make everybody move for you. Wait till the play is over and then go.
Right. I think that's just people that aren't baseball fans. They're
Must be.
pretend.
Oh.
I remember being at a game with Mom and Dad. We were at a Rangers game, and there was a group of guys sitting in front of us, and they were obviously, they worked together and they had taken clients, is what it appeared to be, to a Rangers game. And they were constantly, getting up or talking the whole time. I mean, just to the point that it was distracting.
Go get a suite if that's what you want to do.
Right. And so Dad said, hey, why don't you go, if you're going to talk the whole night, why don't you go and I'll get you a paper and pencil and you can write notes to each other so you will be quiet. The rest of us are trying to watch the game. And other people were like, yeah, and applauding. So after that, they stopped. And I think they probably ended up leaving a little bit early. But yeah, I had that happen at a concert. We went and saw Roger Waters, and there were these guys in front of us, and they were drinking. They were drunk when they got to the concert. And Roger Waters was performing The Wall. It's very theatrical. And they're building the wall as you go. They're in front of us. They're drinking, constantly drinking. One of them, right before intermission, throws up.
Oh.
Disgusting.
Oh.
Luckily, we were behind them, but there were people near them, and then one of them had like their kids with them, and they're like, ugh. So they get up, they come and clean it up. They get up, they go back, and they get more beer, which I'm like, how are they being served? But they get more beer. They come back, and they could tell that we were irritated with them. So they try to like shake our hands, and we're like, no. And I looked at them and I said, listen, you got your beer. You're going to drink your beer. You're not going to get up for the rest of the concert, and you're going to shut up. And they did.
Nice. They just needed some adult supervision.
Oh my gosh. But anyway, got off track there. Things
like that have happened. We went and saw Air Supply. Remember them? 70s,
Yeah.
80s? Air Supply. And we were at a small venue, and people were drinking and they were mad because they're going through the show as they do it. And they had this kind of a theatrical piece that led into Lost in Love. So they're at least heading towards a hit.
Right.
And these ladies in front of us are yelling them, just sing the hit, shut up, put those wings away, or whatever was going on. It's like, just, you know what? It's their show. You came to be entertained by them. They're giving it to you. They're going to. And then when Lost in Love came on, they all went crazy.
Right.
It's like, just wait.
I know.
Anyway. Carry on. The Dodgers.
Back to the Dodgers.
Dodgers picked up a 4-1 win. I got a bobblehead.
You got a bobblehead. Dodgers had the 4-1 win. And then in game 3, the Dodgers have a 4-0 win. And we finally see Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. Both of them homered in the first inning. And I think this was Mookie Betts' 52nd leadoff home run, something like
right.
that.
Yeah.
And of course, those home runs, the Dodgers needed that, because I have watched them hit so many balls that you think, wow, it's going to be a home run, only to die and get caught. So
Right.
many. And yeah. And then, a lot of people are down on Freddie Freeman because they think he's, but he still is batting like 300 something, or he was.
Yeah,
Maybe.
he was at, I think, close, like 293. He's in the 290s.
So, but he goes back and forth, right?
I saw somebody ran a thing about how many runs each player. So if you had 9 Freddie Freemans bat in a game, he would be worth 7 runs a game. That's not bad.
No.
I know it
Not at
feels when I know Freddie feels bad because he's had his ups and downs, but
Yeah.
you're right. Normally he'd be batting over 300. He's batting almost 300.
Yeah.
The Shohei he's been having his off days, but he's still batting over 300. Mookie's still batting over 300. Obviously, like you said, the home runs in this game. In this one, Shohei didn't have a great game, overall. But they've got a lot of. They just need to get it where it's consistently across the board, because normally the top 5, Mookie, Shohei, Freddie, Will, and Teoscar are all usually they're pretty consistent.
Yeah.
And like you said, sometimes when they're not on, you might get something from the bottom part. Lux or will come up and do something, or Austin Barnes will be in, or Jason.
Yeah. Well, in
Miguel
this game,
Rojas, Andy Pajes.
Austin was 2 for 4. He doesn't get a lot of playing time, but he's been hitting when he needs, or bunts, because he's a good bunter if he needs to. So the Dodgers overall, they lose a series and win 2 series. So,
and it's a weird thing that they're doing here, because remember we said they left, they went to Cincinnati,
right?
Then they went to New York,
mm-hmm.
And then they flew back home for 1 series.
1 series, right? Which that's crazy. And then they flew to Pittsburgh, and then they go back to New York, but this time instead of the Queens, they go to the Bronx.
They play the good team in New York this time.
They do, and I'm nervous about that about that series, but we'll see, because there have been some thoughts, especially at the beginning of the season, really, really who do you think is going to be in the World Series? And of course, a lot of people are like, I want the classic Yankees versus Dodgers.
Which would be cool.
It would be cool, but we'll see. So, I don't know what to say about the Dodgers in this one, other than, like I said, their Dodger lineup needs a shakeup. The bottom half isn't doing it, and the top half sometimes isn't doing it. And when both halves aren't doing it, then you got nothing. And when it's just bad, right? When you have, this is an interesting stat. So Tyler Glasnow, who I think arguably is the ace of the pitching staff, has not had any offensive help. He's looked good on the mound. He has done his job. But the last time the Dodgers offense recorded a single run of support for Tyler Glasnow was May 4th versus the Braves.
Oh, wow.
And that's ridiculous, because he's pitching, I think of all of his outings, he's pitching at, 7 innings. And in most of them, he's had an off start here or there, but even his strikeouts are the majority are double digits, with the exception of a game here or there. Of course, there's always talk about Mookie Betts at shortstop, and a lot of people say that's a terrible idea. Let's stop this experiment, get him back to right field. But where where are you going to put him in right field? You have Jason Hayward. Where is Jason Hayward going to go? What's going to happen? There has been talk, we mentioned this before, that the Toronto, possibly there might be some trades coming out of Toronto. The Blue Jays GM says he hasn't given any trades any thought. I don't know if he's just saying that, but Bo Bichette's name has come up as a possible trade. Would he be a good fit for the Dodgers at shortstop? I don't know. Does Mookie move over to second? And then we also hear that the White Sox are willing to trade. Luis Roberts Jr., his name has come up and as a possible trade. And he's a really good defender in center field. He's batting .250. He does have multiple years of team control. I would trade for him. The one downside is his stints on the IL. He has had several goes on the wheel, but the upside is a good bat and a defender status. So who do you trade? Miguel Vargas for obviously other people. But what do you do there? Do the Dodgers need a shortstop, not a Mookie Betts experiment?
No.
All right.
They need to move Mookie back to second base where he was planning on playing.
Yes.
That he's asked to play. He said it's easier on his legs than right field. Everybody seems to think right field's easier, but Mookie's saying, I played there a long time. I'd rather play. Let Miguel Vargas play. Unless you're going to go get, not Miguel Rojas. Sorry, not Vargas.
Right.
Let Miguel Rojas play shortstop to finish out the season. And then you still have Kike you can move around when need be. If you absolutely need somebody at shortstop, you have Mookie to do that as well. But Mookie should be at second base. Mookie was going to be a Gold Glover at second base this year, I'm pretty sure. When Max comes back, he's in there at third, and hopefully he can continue on. Go get somebody like Luis Robert Jr. for center field. You've got Jason in right, Teoscar in left. Put him there. Go. It's time to set CT3 free. Yes. And in the process, go get somebody like Tommy Pham. And you need people on this team. We need some more, I wouldn't say enforcers, but we need more attitude on this team.
We do.
The top three guys are also the three nicest guys in the world. They're the three nicest guys in baseball.
Yeah, it's true. They are.
And, Will Smith is very low key. He can be a battler, but he's very low key. Teoscar Hernandez, we need a couple more Teoscar Hernandez. We need Kike to be back to Kike form.
Yes.
And we're not getting a lot of that. And so they're just kind of floating along.
Right. They are. And I think some of it is, you think, I wonder how much they think, well, we have, we've got Betts and Ohtani and Freeman. I don't know so much the players, that think that, but the front office. Well, we got those guys. We'll be fine. But you can't win games with just three guys. It doesn't work that way. James Outman, who has been the Dodgers center fielder, was sent down to Oklahoma City. Miguel Vargas was sent back up to the majors, and he hasn't been too bad. He's not playing every game, but he, at the plate, he's got a home run. But, it's nothing special. And as you mentioned, Chris Taylor has always been a favorite. He has some really memorable moments with the Dodgers, but he can't hit anymore. He has one of those hits, like a double, I think, or, something that gets a run in. He has 8 RBIs, but he just doesn't need to be in the lineup. He's 8 for 78. He has a 103 batting average. He just doesn't have it anymore. And I hate to say it because I like CT3, but he's dead weight. and you can't.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what's going on with him, but the Dodgers have to figure out what's going to help them get to the postseason. And the team that they have on the field right now and the guys on the bench are not going to do it. They just aren't. And we're missing Max Muncy. He's on the injured list with an oblique injury. It seemed like things were getting better for him, that he was healing up. But right now he's been shut down from baseball activities because of the oblique injury, which is one of the toughest injuries, he said, for an infielder, especially because you're hitting, but then you're also out there, fielding balls and things like that. And you got to make sure that you're healed, that it's not going to come back.
Yeah. After a couple of days, it just, of feeling good, then, it finally got to him. He had to slow down. And
and the Dodgers need his bat back in the lineup. I think that's one of the things that they're missing. Some good news with Clayton Kershaw. He threw from the mound in a simulated game. According to Dave Roberts, he's ahead of schedule. I'm sure they're going to treat him very carefully, make sure he doesn't return too early. And I don't think anybody thinks that he's going to be back until probably August. Bobby Miller has been on a rehab assignment. He's going to need at least one more rehab start. His numbers haven't been great. Over 6 1/3 innings, he's given up 7 earned runs, 3 walks, and hit a batter. So not where Bobby Miller needs to be or probably wants to be, and certainly not where the Dodgers need him to be. And then Ryan Brazier, Joe Kelly are not close to coming back yet. They're going to need at least 1 or 2 rehab starts before they can come back. And Brusdar Graterol, he hasn't started catching yet, and it's going to be a while before we see him. And that has been a big hole, I think, for the Dodgers. And also Blake Trinan, I think, is out on the IL. So just
again?
This is something to do with his heart. So I'll have to. Yeah. So a little, serious. But that is the Dodgers. And as we mentioned, they are playing in Pittsburgh, and then they head to New York, to the Bronx, to take on the Yankees.
Right, before they head back home. How about a player of the week for the Bums?
So I went with my player of the week. I went with Gavin Stone. He had 2 starts versus the Mets and the Rockies. He had 13 strikeouts in those games between the 2 games. Pitched a solid 12 innings, and he's 6-2 overall with a 1.19 ERA. So I think he is deserving, because he's, I think, a guy, especially in the Dodgers lineup or rotation, that just needs to be consistent, stay under the radar, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's I agree with that. I went with Freddie, because he's having a surge, coming back, hit 333 over those 3 series, 6 RBIs, 2 home runs, a triple, 3 doubles, and 11 hits. Only struck out 4 times out of all of that. So he definitely helped push them forward with a 1.092 OPS during that time frame. Lots of things happening in Anaheim. They're trying all kinds of things. I think they've, called in some psychics by now, and other, spiritual gurus.
Dionne Warwick.
If that's going to happen. No, I think she got out of that.
She did?
I think she actually said, I remember somebody asked her when the Psychic Friends Network went down, she goes, shouldn't you guys seen that coming? And she just died laughing. Like, yeah, I guess so, huh?
Yeah.
Anyway, the Angels, who can't seem to win at home, having their issues out even on the road. They left home went to Cleveland, and, well, let's just put it this way. In the last 9 games, they've won 1 and lost 5 in a row. So they go to Cleveland, they get swept. They come back. They were at home for Cleveland.
Right, that's right.
Because they play better on the road than they do at home. Their road record's 14-17 at the point that I'm looking at here, and their home record is 7-21. If they win less than 22 games at home this season, they will be by the worst home record. Nobody's won less than 22 games at home over a season.
Wow.
We'll see what happens with the upcoming series, but Cleveland came in, and I guess they owned Anaheim. Jose Ramirez really took over everything. The guy who Jose Ramirez did something in every game against them. He's a much better player. And you know what? I saw something. Through the same amount of games, he has almost got the same numbers as Barry Bonds.
Wow.
So I would have been surprised by that. But nope, that was not the case. Not really a lot of great pitching. Sandoval only goes 3 2/3. Soriano does go 6, but gave up 4 runs through that. Not a lot to talk about. But what I've been noticing is the Angels are doing the same thing we do. They go to the silver linings of everything. And I'll tell you exactly where they're doing that. So not a lot of highlights. Like I said, Rengifo pitching, Detmers, another bad series. They were able to pick up 1 win in their next series versus the Yankees at home. And that's kind of surprising because really when you go back and you look at all the numbers, the Yankees should have run away with it. They just, in that game, the Angels they tried to do it. Tyler Anderson did go 5 innings, just gave up the 1 run and 4 hits, but he walked 6 people. Only struck out 4. It was Luis Gil from the Yankees that really had the great game there. The game that they did win, once again, Kevin Pillar. That was the first game out. Griffin Canning looked okay. 5 innings pitched, 9 hits, 3 runs. But Kevin Pillar went 3 for 4, as did Rengifo. Juan Soto hit a home run there in Anaheim for the Yankees. But and then Sandoval actually didn't look too bad there either. 8-3 loss, but he went 6 innings, only gave up 2 hits and 2 runs, 7 strikeouts. It was the bullpen that let that one get away from him. Judge and Soto leading the way. And then we go to Seattle, and actually went to Seattle.
Yes.
Primarily just to go up there and lose 3. They did try to, in the first game, they did come back. And this is where we talk about silver lining. Bases loaded. Joe Adell comes to the plate and hits a grand slam. And, of course, everybody's like, oh, maybe that's it. Maybe he's turning it around because he's been on a slump. He was good in April, terrible in May. Let's just look at where he was. 67 batting average over the last month plus. He's had 2 hits, both of them home runs, and 30 at-bats, 5 RBIs. On the season, he struck out 53 times in 154 at-bats. He is second on the team. But here's comparison. Taylor Ward has 57 strikeouts on the season, but he's got 70 more at-bats. And so now it's ooh, Joe might be back, and we're flat without Joe. Well, Joe's not doing anything. He's been hitting 67.
Yeah, how are you flat without him when he's flat coming in?
We're flatter with him than we are without him. It seems. Anyway, he does hit the grand slam, but then he doesn't really do anything else the rest of the series. And at that point, the AL West leading Mariners pretty much run through everything that's thrown at them. What are you gonna ask for? Probably best pitching performance of everybody. Even though Griffin Canning in the wrap-up game threw 6 2/3, gave up 4 hits and 1 run. Matt Moore has been below
Terrible.
average.
Oh, terrible.
In the middle game where they got beat 9-0, Cole Tucker comes in, only guy to not give up any runs. I think he gave up maybe 1 hit.
Yeah. So you might need to look at him, convert him.
Might could. Yep. So
this series, I mean, we're looking at all the series, but I think for the Mariners series, because that first game, it was, the Grand Slam, and that's exciting, and it's a close game, 5-4 ends up. I feel like, like on a semi truck where, with their tires, and the Grand Slam was awesome, but the tire, like the outer, is gonna come off, but you just don't know when. And then when the Mariners go on to win this game, and then they shut out the Angels 9-0, and then the next game is 5-1. It's like when that part of the tire, so there's still the tire, but the one layer like flies off.
Right. The retreads, the
retreads.
They're gone.
That's kind of how it was. Like it was hanging on for that first game, and then it just blew off.
So they keep trying to do things to fix things. They're now having like inner teammate discussions.
Yes.
They're showing, okay, here's some plays, here's some pitching, and talking amongst themselves about what they saw, what they think. Ron Washington said, we're learning. Every time we lose, we learn something.
Right.
And
silver lining.
I heard somebody, I don't know if it was radio or TV, said they must be the smartest team in the world.
They learn a lot. Yeah, they're calling these accountability sessions because, as you mentioned, the coaches will show plays or, the offense and defense of things that happen, and they'll say, okay, this was good or this was bad and this is what should have happened. And then the players are supposed to also contribute to the discussion. I'm picturing a monitor, a TV screen at the front, and everyone's in a circle and they're all talking. And they're like, well, if I had been at second base when that ball came to me or short, wherever, I would have done this.
Well, they start off with the player who actually made or didn't make the play, talking about what they were thinking of at the time that it happened.
Yeah. I was thinking about what movie I'm going to watch when I get home.
Yeah, maybe I was thinking about where we
what
could
I'm
go.
Going to eat.
What, after the game, while we're in, wherever they're, traveling to. While we're in Seattle.
Yeah.
What kind of seafood I wanted to go down and have or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's we'll see how that works. I think that, as we talked about on our previous episode, Ron Washington, I think, is getting to the end of his rope with this group.
Yeah, I think you are right. And I think in that, and then also that he's trying to put the silver lining, trying to put a good spin on everything, because he did say, this keeps everybody accountable and it's a learning tool, these meetings, and we all learn, and it's accountability. And I think he just is out there throwing a word salad.
I think so, too. And, they got to do something until they're able to, because apparently Artie's not ready to start selling off the pieces, and they need to do it.
Well,
and see what they can get. At this point, every season for the last 2 or 3, they've had one veteran that they've come in that stepped up. Brandon Drury, Hunter Renfroe to some extent.
Yeah.
This year is Kevin Pillar.
Oh, yeah.
Willie Calhoun's been right behind him. And then, there's a couple other guys that come up that have been there a while that they're finally getting, once they start getting more time to play, they're better off.
Oh, yeah. definitely. I think it's interesting with the Angels. Yeah, Artie Moreno is not. I don't know what they're going to do, but you have Perry Maniason, who is not giving any interviews. He's not doing. It's like leave me alone. So I guess I don't know, but there's a lot of distance, I think, between what's happening on the field and what's going on in the front office. You mentioned Reed Detmers, who just had another bad game. He was sent back to AAA.
Yep, he's in Salt Lake City.
And Ben Joyce was called up from a AA and the Trash Pandas. I do want to mention, we always talk about the Will of IL, but I do have a couple just within, as I did with the Dodgers. Miguel Sano, he'd hurt his knee. And, when you have an ache, you use a heating pad. Well, he decided to take the cover off the heating pad, which it says in the directions not to do that. The cover is to protect you from the heating element that's within the pad. He did not heed those instructions, and he took it off, and he received, a pretty severe burn to the point where any of his rehab that he had been doing up to that point had to be stopped because he had burned his knee. So
that's crazy.
That is crazy to me. And then just an update on Mike Trout. He did speak to the media, and he said he is close to being able to use a treadmill. So I think he's probably still looking at after the All-Star game, I would assume, is what his timeline is, without really knowing what, the extent of the surgery and things like that. So, but I don't know. Is that even going to make a difference for Mike Trout to come back?
Well,
I don't know.
I think if it's that early, let's say by early August,
yeah,
and he's actually fully ready to go, then yeah, it makes a difference because it's 2 months of baseball.
That's true.
A lot of people are going on radio here like, oh, we got to get him back. And then that way he can show how he can play and we can, trade him. And everybody just keeps telling, all the radio folks just keep saying the same thing. Yeah. Mike Trout's not going anywhere. But the funny part is nobody comes on and says Rendon needs to be traded. And I think people are kind of giving Rendon a little bit of pass because he's actually been talking about his injuries and where he's at and what's going on. He's still not cleared for baseball activities, but he's moving forward. I think he's just getting on a treadmill now, too. All right. So the Angels have a weird stretch coming up where 4 of their 6 upcoming series are against the NL West teams, which includes just a 2-game set and a weird Sunday off for the Angels and the Dodgers coming up. Of those 6 series, 5 of them will be versus National League teams. They got the Padres, the Diamondbacks, the Giants, and Milwaukee. They're going to be at home for the Padres, and then they'll also have Houston come in, and then on the road to Phoenix and San Francisco, home for Milwaukee, and then up the 5 to take on the Dodgers. All right. So any chance you have a player of the week here?
I don't have a player of the week for the Angels because I just didn't know where to look. And I could just say I could go with Kevin Pillar every time just because it's Kevin Pillar and he seems to be, providing some spark. But no, I'm going to
abstain,
yes, and not present a player of the week for the Angels.
Okay, that's fair. The other guy that you could probably be on Kevin Pillar is Luis Rengifo.
Oh, yeah.
13 hits, 2 doubles, a .371 batting average, a 1 home run, and 2 RBIs over those 3 series we just talked about. Definitely leading the team. If they could get more things together, they actually could win a few more. And now the whole deal is everybody's watching to see if they're going to set the new record for lack of wins at home.
If not, I don't want to see them do that. But
it depends on where they're at. If by the middle of September, they still only have like 18 or 19 wins at home. I'm rooting for them to have the record.
To have the record. It's some kind of record, right?
Exactly.
It's in the books.
Yeah.
So I guess, even for, both of our teams were just kind of one worse than the other. But the Dodgers, and I'm going to compare the Dodgers to the Angels, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Obviously, with the Angels, they do have a young team, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done with the Dodgers. So we just need to continue to see where it all goes.
Okay, apples and oranges, but I got you.
Yeah, well.
It's all fruit.
That's right. That's right.
I had heard this term before, but I never really thought about it, and now I hear it everywhere. So I guess I'll use it now too. Ride your ride or die, which is your car. It's like, in our case, it's our bullpen cart is our ride or die. So we're going to hop in that and zoom all over and around baseball. And as usual, we're going to start off with the players of the week, MLB style.
All right, in the American League, this probably is no surprise, but the American League player of the week is Juan Soto. He is batting .435, 3 home runs, 9 RBIs, scored 7 runs, and has a 1.500 OPS. And in the National League, the player of the week for MLB is Willy Adames, who had been rumored as possible trade. I don't think he's going anywhere, but he's batting .385, 2 home runs, 10 RBIs, 7 runs, and 1.138 OPS over that past week.
So I don't know where it is on your list, but I just want to get this out of the way.
All right.
You had said to send me a note, because we'll send them back and forth stories and stuff, so that way we can remember what we were going to do or suggest something.
Yes.
Or just share. You sent me something that said, I need to remember the London series.
Yes.
And I went, oh, yeah, that's coming up. And then I thought, wait a minute. Wasn't there a series in Mexico City?
There was. We missed it.
Did we talk about that? I went, no, we didn't talk about it.
We missed the stop.
It was the Asterix versus the Rockies. And that's probably why.
That's
but
probably why.
I was like, wait a minute. I don't know why it popped up. I should have just kept, forgot it. So I kept thinking, should we pay special attention to London when we couldn't even talk about Mexico City?
When I sent that to you, I obviously forgot that we also missed the stop on MLB's World Tour. The World Tour, started with South Korea.
Korea, right?
Right, with the Dodgers and the Padres. And then they went to Mexico City, and it was the Asterix and the Rockies. And now the next stop is London. And I guess, I don't know, maybe it's because I've been seeing commercials with the guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And all of a sudden, I can't think of his name. He is a co-owner of the Wrexham Football Club. Not Ryan Reynolds, but the other guy. And
see, when you said Sunny in Philadelphia, I only think Danny DeVito. I don't.
Right.
I've never seen the show, but that's the only one I know was on the show.
Right. Rob McElhenney is his name.
Okay.
So anyway, I've been seeing commercials about the London series. So that's why I brought it up. So we'll mention it. The Mets and the Phillies are heading across the pond to play in London this weekend as part of the World Tour. They will play 2 games at London Stadium. And Ranger Suarez is scheduled to pitch, I think, in the Saturday game, but he has been, I guess, kind of listed day to day with a hand. I'm not sure what's going on, but he has been throwing, so it looks like maybe it'll be good. The only thing is I really hope
his hand on a chip.
Yeah, Yeah. I don't know. They never say. Like it sometimes they do, sometimes it doesn't come out. But I'm hoping for a good series for the, for the United Kingdom and the Americans, of course, that live there, to watch America's game, the baseball with the Mets and the Phillies. The only problem is it's the Mets and the Phillies.
So the Phillies are tearing up the NL East,
Yeah.
and they're at the top, and the Mets are at the bottom.
Right.
And I know this was scheduled like last year.
Yeah, you don't know.
But they should have figured something out to make it better.
Right. I mean, one of the things that they're going to be doing is in Trafalgar Square. They're going to have like a fan fest. So that's going to be held. It's free, and it's going to be food and music, and there's going to be a home run derby featuring Daniel Murphy and Chase Utley. And they're going to be joined by gladiators, Apollo and Fire. So that might be fun, but I don't know how the gladiators fit in there. And I don't know about Daniel Murphy. And Chase Utley, of course, I like Chase Utley, and Daniel Murphy, he's been fine, but I don't know how exciting that home run derby will be.
It might be fun.
But yeah, so anyway, so we mentioned it.
All right,
and we'll forget about the next stop.
By the way, who won the Mexico City series? Do you remember?
I think the Astros. I think they won both games.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, if we're going to talk about London, we should talk about that. And, it was easy to talk about South Korea because the Dodgers were there.
Exactly. But we should talk about something pretty serious.
Uh-oh.
I mean, we just had Keith O'Brien on episode ago, and we had a good discussion about Pete Rose. And we know Pete Rose has been permanently banned from baseball because he bet on baseball.
Right.
And since Ippei and the show, that gambling scandal came to be, or we knew about it. And then we find out that David Fletcher, who used to be an Angel, is now in the Braves, playing for the minor league and for the Braves, that he is being investigated. And then you kind of forget about it. Like, if it pops up, it pops up. Well, all of a sudden we hear that San Diego Padres infielder.
Good luck.
Yeah. Tucupita Marcano.
Yeah, I think it's something like that.
Permanently banned from Major League Baseball after violating the league's gambling policy. His ban was when he was with the Pirates, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he was out for the season because of I think he had a knee surgery, so he didn't play, but he decided to take up gambling while he was out on the IL. He was permanently banned, but there are also 1-year suspension for 4 other players: Oakland Athletics reliever Michael Kelly, and minor league players Jay Groom of the Padres, who is a Padres pitcher, Jose Rodriguez, a Philadelphia Phillies infielder, and Andrew Saalfrank of the Arizona Diamondbacks, who is also a pitcher.
Saw last year.
Yes.
Versus the Dodgers and in the World Series.
Yes.
So what happens? What are you thinking about? I'm wondering if these guys think I'm so far down on the food chain, nobody's going to notice.
Right. No one's going to notice. MLB had received information from legal sports betting operator concerning baseball gambling activity from accounts that belonged to these players. And under MLB's rules, personnel are allowed to, they can they can gamble on sports that's legal in their jurisdiction, but they can't bet on diamond sports. So you can't bet on baseball and you can't bet on softball. So each of those players violated the second part, the last 4 that are suspended. Now, this is the, and none of the players are appealing their suspension. This is the interesting part to me. Marcano, who was banned for life, bet, and he's only 24 years old. He bet more than $150,000 and won only 4.3% of his bets. Kelly of the Oakland A's bet a total of $99.22. Broom bet $453.74 and had a loss of $433.54. Rodriguez bet $749.09, and Saul Frank bet $445.87 and had a loss of $272.64. That
If I'm
is
those guys,
ridiculous.
If I'm those guys, yeah, number one, you just gave up a year, or like the other guy, his whole career.
Right.
And I'm also got to say, I guess I'm happy that I'm not connected to a bigger player they're willing to give me a bigger line of credit, because those guys would be hurting.
They would be big time. Yeah, it's crazy to me to think that is how much they bet, and they own, like, Marcano only won 4.3% of its bets, and now he is banned for life. It's like, it was not worth it.
When we go to look at David Fletcher,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing that says that he bet on baseball. His problem now is that he was betting with a bookie on sports in California, where that is illegal.
Right.
It was an illegal enterprise. Had he gone through, and I heard recently that some of the Bally sports channels are going to become FanDuel.
Oh, that's crazy.
Which is just like, it's so weird. But the one thing that we always have to remember is that even if any sports league, which all have anti-gambling rules for betting on your own team or yourself, and some caveats to that, every one of them have it. And all of sports now is pretty much involved with these, FanDuel and DraftKings and things like that. MGM, BetMGM.
Right.
They're all there, but the rule has never changed. It never changed for Pete Rose. It's still the same now. Do we feel like that the problem is, like with Pete Rose, isn't MLB? MLB did that. They changed the rules at the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame is not, while there's a connection there, they are not part. MLB has no control over Cooperstown.
Right.
And they can change the rule anytime they want to let him in if they want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, here's a bunch of guys, though, that it's right there in their face all the time. But at what point do you not get it's posted in every level clubhouse?
Right.
Don't bet on baseball or softball, apparently. I didn't know that part.
Yeah. No diamond sports.
Right. So stop. You want to bet, you want to play cards. Nobody told you couldn't go play poker or a slot machine or roulette or whatever.
Yeah.
You want to bet on football, be part of you can even have a pool within the team. Nobody cares. But if you do it with baseball, then you're in trouble. And they should know that. And that's why, as much as we want those things to happen, like Pete Rose to be able to get in to the Hall of Fame, it's just going to take somebody to make a change on that. But will they change the rule? And if they lift the ban on Pete Rose, which I would say this is definitely apples and oranges.
Oh, yeah.
Would you have to lift the ban on the other guy? Now, he's not an icon, a historical figure in baseball like Pete.
No. Yeah. Totally different, I guess, there. Yeah, apples and oranges. Ippei Mizuhara is pleaded guilty to bank and tax fraud charges during a change of plea hearing in federal court this week. The 2 counts carry a maximum sentence of 33 years. This one is interesting. His sentencing is set for October 25th in the afternoon. So he could be sentenced in the afternoon and we could be watching the World Series that evening.
Which only is interesting in the big picture if the Dodgers are in the World Series.
That's it. His guilty plea prompted MLB, which had come out and said that they were launching a separate investigation against Shohei Ohtani. They came out and said, which we know that Shohei was a victim of fraud. This matter has been closed. And the Dodgers, of course, put out a statement saying that they're pleased that Shohei and the team can put the entire matter behind them and move forward in pursuit of a World Series title. Shohei Ohtani also provided a statement and basically said, that now that the investigation is complete and the admission of guilt, it's important for me and my family. It's brought closure. I want to thank all of the authorities. But he did go on to say that it has been challenging for him and that he is grateful for his family, his teammates, and, everyone who's worked with him, and that it is a time to close this chapter, move on, continue to focus on playing and winning ball games. And of course, there is still and will always be those who will come out and say, yeah, the only reason MLB cleared him is because he is a face of MLB. And
maybe so. So you know what? But if he didn't do it, and I think it's clear that he didn't have any part of that. Nobody ever says that they saw that. He's not one of those guys that it pops up with those things. I think that the Dodgers, I'm not Dodgers, but MLB has a pretty good handle on who's doing what.
I think so too.
And, they're going to get where they need to be. Right now, the best thing for Fletcher, until they get deeper into it, is that more people are raving about his knuckleball down there at Gwinnett than they are about potential, betting scandals. But he did bet with an illegal bookie. So there's going to be something that he's going to have to pay for that. I don't know what.
Yeah, what it will be.
And it'll depend on how much money was involved and exactly what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And cooperation. So.
Yeah.
All right.
So we will see. All right.
I think, unfortunately, this whole thing is just the beginning. And we're going to continue to see these kind of suspensions and bans probably more often than we're interested in seeing over the next few months or years, I mean.
Well, moving on from a lifetime suspension and, the hard news, something really cool. We've known that this was in the works, but Major League Baseball has embraced, of course, the Negro Leagues. There's the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum in Kansas City. And now the Negro Leagues are going to be recognized in the record book, which means there are new leaderboards. And several of those boards have changed. And Josh Gibson, Hall of Famer Josh Gibson, is at the top of a lot of those leader list. In 2020, there was an announcement that 7 different Negro Leagues from 1920 to 1948 would be recognized as major leagues. And then Major League Baseball announced that it would follow recommendations of the Independent Negro League Statistical Review Committee to absorb the available Negro League's numbers into official historical records. So Josh Gibson, who is a legendary catcher and power hitter, he played for the Homestead Grays and the Pittsburgh Crawfords. He is now MLB's all-time leader in batting average, slugging percentage, and OPS, and he holds the all-time single season records in each of these categories.
Wow.
And Willie
And
Mays.
you always heard that about about him and how he was the the Babe Ruth to the Negro Leagues, to what Babe Ruth was, to the MLB. I have seen a lot of grousing about this when you read it, post people coming out and posting pages and pages of stuff about how the way that they've done it isn't fair. To some point, there is, there's problems because there's a lot of times that players within the Negro Leagues, there were no box scores for the games. There's some of the things that people talked about. It's like, well, they're like, this is more of a legendary thing than a real thing. But they had to have box scores for him. So if Josh Gibson's got, all those numbers that were off of box scores, then that says a lot right there. But they want to find ways to diminish some of these. And in some cases, like, okay, the guy played this well over 23 games. He had good numbers, but we know there's no box scores for another 40 games. It's hard to say, did he maintain that? Or is there another way to go, but without box scores?
Right.
I think it like any time it needs to be, they didn't meet the minimum requirement because unfortunately there wasn't enough box scores for that. Just like any time in baseball, if you don't meet the minimum requirement for at bats or plate appearances, you don't qualify for that award. That doesn't mean that your numbers can't be mixed in with everybody else's now.
Yeah. And I think Willie Mays, he was surprised. I guess he had like 10 extra hits now that he didn't have before. Yeah. So I think it's, I think it's interesting now that they're, and probably it's long overdue, but you're right. There has to be consistency and there has to be the stats. And I'm sure that the guys that are, people who do stats are very, I would say almost methodical in how they do them, and like Saber and things like that,
those guys are so focused on it, not just methodical. They are, this is just a whole part of their life.
Right. That
they're compulsive, they're obsessive, they want to make sure it's right on. You want to catch that. So I think they're, I think they're on the right track with this. Once again, though, stupidity out there is going to be a lot of people talking. It just reminded me, this guy wrote a post, said, best year that Jackie Robinson had in his career, or his rookie season with the Monarchs, where he led the league in home runs, he led the league in batting average, he led the league. He goes, in AAA, he didn't hit that well. His first year when he was the rookie of the year with the Dodgers, and his first 2 years out, he didn't hit like he did when he was with the Monarchs, trying to say that was below the standards of the league were lower than AAA for that. And maybe in some cases it might have been, because we got major league teams that seem to play lower than some AAA teams do. But that's like really disingenuous when you're not taking into account that within the first 2 years and even 3 years of Jackie in the league, Jackie not only put up above average numbers, but he did it under duress.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And you can't say he didn't deserve to have these extra numbers, or that those numbers don't work because he was better there because it was lower competition. It's like, no, he was constantly go watch 42, even if it's not all 100% accurate. Enough of it is, and that you can tell. How do you do that when people are yelling and screaming things at you that eat at your very core?
Yeah. I mean, there was so much more going on around him. And then, but for him to be able to play the way that he played is, that in itself is something to be, obviously, I don't even know how to say it, but that's something that it needs to be recognized.
Absolutely. So that's cool. You can check it out. Baseball Reference, which I get a lot of my information from, has all of that on there. The major leagues are including some of that into their stats that you'll see online. So check it out and see where the changes are. Well, we're still planning out our trip to head to Arlington. You still can, contribute if you'd like. Hit the website, siblingrivalrybb.com, and the Fanatics link, and everything you buy there, we get some portion of. And then, or you can go to the Ko-fi website and just click on the link on our website there and contribute so we can go to the All Star Game at the Grill in Arlington, Texas. We want to do the Home Run Derby, the All-Star Game, plus the All-Star Fest, and all the All-Star stuff.
All of it. All-Star, 24/7.
Exactly. And if I'm not sure, but I think I got emails or text messages or notifications that it's time to start voting.
Yes, it is time to start voting. The All-Star ballot is open for your votes. There are 2 phases of fan voting to determine the starters. It began yesterday. You can go to MLB.com to vote, the MLB app, and the MLB Ballpark app. The phase 1, it concludes at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on Thursday, June 27th. During the initial voting period, you can submit up to 5 ballots each day that the voting is open on those MLB platforms. And then on the 27th, the top 2 vote getters at each position and the top 6 outfielders in each league will be revealed on MLB Network, and they will advance to the second phase of voting to determine who makes the All-Star teams and starts for each league. And once again, the leading vote getter in each league during the first phase of voting receives an automatic starting assignment at the All-Star Game, and they bypass the second phase.
All the rest of it.
Yep. And if an outfielder is a league's leading vote getter, phase 2 voting at the position will still take place to determine the remaining 2 voters among the next 4 outfield finalists. So 2 phases. You can start voting now in phase 1.
Where should they go?
MLB.com, MLB Bat app, or Ballpark app, sorry, and or just MLB.com/vote, the MLB app, and the MLB Ballpark app.
Oh, nice. Okay. So you go hit any of those. And like you said, if the top voters, your favorite, is going to be there at the All-Star Game, whether you're there in person or whether you're watching on TV, you'll get to see them. Unless, of course, they end up on the wheel. Oh, ouchie. Oh, my body hurts. My body hurts. Oh, my body hurts. My body hurts. I can't pitch because my elbow's broken.
Oh,
I can't run because my hamstrings pulled, torn, falling apart. I'm just falling apart. That's why I am on the wheel of IL. Look up. I'm doing jazz hands. Well,
All right.
I would just like to say that was made up right now on the spot.
Really? I would never have known. Ever. Well, we're going to start with Ronald Acuna Jr. He is out for the season after tearing his ACL in his left knee. He tore his right ACL 3 years ago. And he is, like I said, out for the season, will have surgery. And it was really sad. On his Twitter account, he just posted sorry with a broken heart and a sad face.
I thought that they had kicked him off the team after. Did you see that catch he started to make that was an error, hit off the bottom of his glove?
Yeah.
I don't know what he was doing. He should have turned his glove over.
Yeah, I don't know.
So they would have landed in. And I thought that, but yeah, it's too bad to see that happen with him. He's an MVP, from last year. Definitely. I mean, the Braves are having to deal with the Phillies right now.
Yeah.
And their pitching has not been great. I'm surprised Bryce Elder's still pitching. Yeah. But he's just.
Well, it'll be interesting to see because last time this happened, the Braves did go on to win the World Series because there were some trades that were made, and Luis Robert Jr. could he be a Brave?
That's a possibility, right? Yeah, you never know. They're going to be willing. They're definitely a pretty savvy group down there. Anthopoulos and crew, have been doing a good job to keep the Braves on top.
Yeah. Zach Allen of the Diamondbacks is on the 15-day IL with a hamstring injury. Orioles pitcher John Means had another Tommy John surgery, and he will be out for the season. And he probably will be out of Baltimore because when he returns in 12 to 18 months, he's going to be a free agent. Chris Martin. Yeah. Chris Martin of the Red Sox is on the IL, the 15-day IL, with anxiety. The Red Sox chief baseball officer, Craig Breslow, said that with being respectful of the situation, Martin felt it was manifesting in some physical ways that were keeping him from competing at the level that he's used to in terms of fatigue, energy, recovery, sleep, those type of things. So he's on the IL with anxiety, but it is important to mention that because mental health is important. And if baseball players are doing a job and whatever is going on, if he is having anxiety either on the mound or in another aspect of his life and it's affecting what's happening on the mound, then he needs to get right. However it is.
You got to get right or you're going to get left.
That's it. Tommy Pham is on the 10-day IL with an ankle injury. And Chris Bryant could be headed back to the IL again with a back strain. And it appears to be a repeat of last season. Where
Chris Bryant, I got to see him. He was there. He played.
Yeah, he played, but now he's having some back issues. And Jose Arquidi and Christian Javier are both out for the season, and they will both undergo Tommy John surgery. Dana Brown, the general manager of the Astros, said that they will be buyers at the trade deadline. And I just heard that the Astros have reached out to Trevor Bauer for a private tryout.
It was bound to happen.
Yes.
And they're in a position. How many pitchers have fallen down? They got, Verlander back, but they've had issues with, 3 or 4 pitchers.
Yeah.
Valdez had a little bit of issues, but he's come back. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see where that goes, but that's what sources close to the team are saying. Michael Wacha, the starting pitcher for the Royals, has a small non-displaced fracture in his left foot. The Royals are hoping, he's been pitching really well for the Royals, and they're hoping that he will be out 3 to 4 weeks. Starling Marte is listed as day-to-day with knee soreness. Brandon Marsh has a mild right hamstring strain, is on the 10-day IL. And the Padres have 2 of their pitchers on the IL. On the 15-day IL, Yu Darvish has a left groin strain, and Joe Musgrove is back on the IL with elbow inflammation. So I don't know if he will make it off the IL after this.
Speaking of that, and it's completely unrelated because he doesn't have an injury yet. But remember we were talking about sweepers, pitchers that throw a lot of sweepers. Patrick Sandoval has started throwing the sweeper. So how long? I mean, what's the over under? You think? What kind of line can we get?
Right.
Off of DraftKings or FanDuel or the illegal bookie in Orange County for Patrick Sandoval?
Yeah.
And how long before he's got Tommy John surgery?
Yeah. Blake Snell is back on the IL with a mild left groin strain, and he has come out and said nothing can get you ready than a major league spring training. And he did not have a major league spring training. And of course, he said, I want all the teams to know that, but maybe you should have said something to your agent.
Right. Yeah. Boris is the one who needs to hear that.
Exactly.
Because he didn't have it. And I feel like they rushed him up to his first start. The Padres did.
They
or not
did.
The Dregs, the Diamondbacks.
The Giants. Go through
I'll just
all
start
the NL
naming
teams.
all the NL West teams. I'll get there. The only
teams.
one I knew that he wasn't with was the Dodgers.
Yeah.
The Giants.
Jorge Polanco is on the 10-day IL with hamstring tightness. And Cardinals shortstop Mason Wynn is on the IL for voicing his displeasure with the City Connect uniforms. No. No, he has a lingering back issue that's keeping him off the field. And Cardinals pitcher Keenan Middleton had surgery to repair his right flexor tendon and is out for the season.
Yep, former Angel.
And just because I did mention the City Connects, no City Connects, no fashion report this week, but the Twins will be debuting their City Connects next week. So we'll talk about that. And Toronto did debut their City Connects while we were away. They're boring. There is no moose. And I am disappointed.
But there was a maple leaf.
There was a maple leaf, but that was a given. And it is very City Connect centric with Toronto. There is the skyline, but so it wasn't Canadian.
Was there any YYZ in there on the uniform? I didn't see any. So, well, that's disappointing. They could have done that with Rush, and the airport code.
They could have.
They put Detroit put 313 somewhere on there. That's their area code. Things like that.
Yeah.
They could, anyway, never mind. Who cares? They're going to be torn apart for pieces and put in pieces. They're going to be traded off for the parts that they have here soon because they're just falling apart. I wonder if any of the kids that are playing this year in the College World Series, the college playoffs, will end up in this year's draft and be a month later be playing like Nolan Shanuel last year or Zach Neto, or others.
It seems that way, especially when you're looking at these pitching staffs and it's like, are they ready to go? Because we need their arms. It seems like everybody's kind of fallen apart around the league. So College World Series, the Super Regionals, we skipped the regionals. I will say, though, I did get a chance to watch LSU play North Carolina in their game, their last game, their third game. And it was an exciting game. I started watching it probably about, I think the 6th, 7th inning, and it was LSU was winning 3-2. North Carolina came back and tied the game 3-3. Then it went to Zennings, and they won it 4-3. The Tar Heels. Really exciting game. If you're not watching college baseball, you got to watch college baseball.
Especially now with the super regionals. These are easy to watch because they're they're just 3-game sets versus teams that won out in their regions. So since you mentioned North Carolina, they're going to take on West Virginia that survived the Tucson regional. And then Virginia and Kansas State came out of their regionals. So now they're playing. So they're playing in Chapel Hill, the North Carolina, West Virginia, Charlottesville, because that's where Virginia was. So they're the higher ranking seed. UConn. It was a tough one. They came out of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And I got to see some of that game, but UConn hit them hard and fast, and it was just tough for them to come back.
Well, the thing about the Sooners, too, in that series, their pitching, they had depleted their pitching. And so it just was bad.
So UConn coming out of the Norman bracket to go play, or region, to go play in Tallahassee versus Florida State, who won their regional. Same thing in Tennessee. They won the regional. They get the University of Evansville out of Indiana that won out of the Greenville, North Carolina. Kentucky continues their baseball trek, and they'll take on Oregon State in Lexington. Since they're the higher seed, they get to go, but Oregon State had their own regional. Georgia and North Carolina State will be taking each other on, and they'll do that in Athens, Georgia. Clemson moves on to play Florida, so a lot of orange going to be happening.
A lot of orange
there in Clemson between the Gators and the Tigers. And then finally, playing it in Bryan, College Station, Texas, the Aggies of Texas A&M will be taking on Oregon, who came out of the Santa Barbara regional. They pretty much had their way there. They didn't even have to play. They only had to play like 2 games out of there. Everybody else just eliminated themselves, it looks like.
The College World Series order of first-round games that will begin on Friday, June 14th. That's going to be announced on Monday. And all of those games will be on ESPN and ESPN2, all of, their network. And as I mentioned, the World Series will begin on Friday, June 14th at Charles Schwab Field, in Omaha, Nebraska. And you got to be watching. It's just, College World Series is probably some of the best baseball that you're going to watch.
Right.
All season. I don't care what's going on in the major leagues.
Right.
You can have awesome
any
games.
league.
Any league. It's College World Series. And you got to watch it.
All right. And on one other note, we made such a big deal about Birmingham Southern College that they were going to start playing the same day that their college stopped to cease to exist. Well, unfortunately, they didn't win it. They made it to the World Series, but they didn't go home with the trophy, which is probably better. They had no place to put it.
That's true.
There was a great feel-good story as they move forward, throughout that. And, hopefully those guys will move on to other schools now that are still playing, if they were underclassmen, and have a chance again to make it to,
They can hop in the transfer portal. And they lost this is a heartbreaker, 9th inning home run that Wisconsin Whitewater hit a Sam Payton. He was the villain that took the game away in the 9th inning. He hit a solar home run, and they went on to win 11-10. So it's not like the Panthers were rolling over. They were playing. They were fighting. So.
All right. And I know that the women's softball World Series is going on, and I think we're almost wrapping that one up, right?
Yeah, well, it's getting it's a best of 3 series. It started yesterday, and Texas, the #1 overall seed, will face Oklahoma for the national championship. The second-seeded Sooners will be going for an unprecedented 4th consecutive national championship. Next season, this is what's interesting, Oklahoma and Texas will both be in the SEC, which for the 4th time since 2017 had all 13 programs that compete in softball qualify for the NCAA postseason. SEC programs also had 8 of the top 16 seeds, that's to say, and that doesn't include the Sooners and the Longhorns because they're not technically in the SEC yet. So that is going to be a stacked softball program. But all I have to say is Boomer Sooner.
That's all you have to say. All right.
Well, I always have more to say.
One more thing before we bail out that happened while we were off. And it's kind of I don't even know how to actually feel about this. Angel Hernandez is retiring.
And it's not like he's retiring at the end of the season. It's effective immediately.
And I was just looking. So he last worked back in May, and he had been off. Then all of a sudden he says, "That's it, I'm done." Reports are that came to an agreement with MLB that gave him some cash to get out.
Yeah, and I've also heard that the attention that he was getting on calls that he, just that he's made and was making through social media really helped move that in that direction, that he was effective immediately. Angel Hernandez has retired.
And you know what? When you go back and you look at it with no names, he's not a whole lot worse than some other guys. Joe West thinks he was better than him, but that's a very low bar. As far as that goes. But no more Angel Hernandez. So who are we going to complain about next?
I don't know. We got to find somebody.
He ranked 67th out of 85 umpires on correct call rates this year. So he's towards the bottom, but he wasn't the absolute worst, even though it seemed like it. So, all right. So he's going to go off. Happy retirement to you, Angel. And if you're on social media looking at things, it's funny. Him taking a selfie, there's just like one of his cheeks, and that's right. All this stuff. So there's a lot of fun stuff out there, but farewell, Angel Hernandez. All right, we're going to put our ride or die back into the garage, get it all cleaned up for next week's Around Baseball and next week's Sibling Rivalry Baseball podcast. As always, you can find us on our social media, Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Facebook and Instagram at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
On the website, siblingrivalrybb.com. And like I said, go to the Fanatics links on our webpage. Go buy all kinds of new cool gear to support your team, support your favorite college team, support your favorite baseball team, softball team, whatever. It's all right there. There's probably going to be some Phillies and New York Mets London series stuff on there, I would suppose. And Father's Day stuff with that coming up here in just a couple of weeks. So it's been fun being back. It was nice to have the week off, but happy to be back and talking about everything. Next week, we'll know who's moving forward to Omaha. So we'll talk about that, and we'll see if anything's gotten better in LA or Anaheim or the places that they're going to visit. Thanks for checking in with us. Go see some live baseball. Definitely watch some college baseball. And don't forget to swing away.